Does this say that I like zombies? Does this say, wow, that woman likes zombies a lot? I'm just checking. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I will have this video in between my Selena pattern video that I did promise in the previous update. So that is coming next. I just thought I would do this because it's something I've wanted to do for a while, which is like movie reviews. I've done like reviews on shows in the past, but I really wanted to talk about this. I'm not sure what I'll call these new movie reviews part of my channel yet, but you know, fuck it. If you want to hear movie reviews, I'll do one. The movie I'm talking about that I cover today is going to be Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which came out in 1991. It stars Christina Applegate. Who else? Joanna Crawford, who was Rose. I think his name's the guy who played Brian. Josh Charles? James Charles? I don't remember. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just gonna kind of like really be nitpicky about this movie. You know, it's a movie we all enjoyed at the end of the day, but sometimes there's just like inconsistencies and questions that we have, that I have, that maybe I could help you answer, and maybe you could help me answer in the long run. Okay, anyways, so open up the movie. It starts off with like a little cartoon of the show, whatever, and then it goes to like normal shot of real life world or whatever. So in this movie you have the family is the Crandalls, right? We find out that they live out in the boons in this house. Within the first 3 minutes, we learn a little bit about each of the kids. We learn that one of her middle children, Zach, is a kleptomaniac. He just fucking steals money every chance he gets. But God, kid, get a job, why don't you? The other middle child, Melissa, she just, you know, a tomboy, kind of hangs out by herself, killing bugs under microscope lenses or whatever. And she just seems to be neglected because all throughout the movie she talks about little leagues and her mom didn't sign her up or something. And then we also find out that their dad's like a loser or something. He's basically absent. We know they have one. Where he's at, we don't know, and they don't care. Her other son, Kenny, her second oldest, is a douchebag, pothead douchebag, whatever. And then of course you have Sue Ellen, which they real short, they call her Swell. Typical teenager. She loves fashion, she hangs out with her friends, real pretty girl, whatever. So yeah, and then of course the youngest, Walter. I think Walter is just like from beginning to end like a real sweet, good kid. He just wants to hang out with his dog. So anyways, and then we meet the mother. And all throughout this movie, I remember when I'd watch it, I would be like, what the fuck? First of all, the mother's going on this trip, right? She's going to leave her kids all summer, which is like 2 months, to go to Australia to see her boyfriend's sheep farm or something like that. So she's leaving the kids, you know, totally normal, right? Because every parent does that. So Sue Ellen's friends go off to Europe for the summer before they graduate or whatever, and the mother goes to Australia under the assumption that she's going to just leave the children, under the assumption that she's just going to leave them all summer just to be free and not have a care in the world. Wrong. So we know that they're leaving. The mother says, oh, why are you leaving? She's like, oh, I've had a really rough 37 years, which I'm kind of like looking at her and I'm thinking, does she mean the whole is she 37? Or has she been like a mother for 37 years? I don't see. And I know this is like really fucked up because of course like I am no spring chicken either. But I just look at that woman and I'm like, 37? She could easily pass for like 48. So I'm just like, damn girl, like I don't know what kind of life she's had. We don't know in the movie what the mother does. We don't know what kind of life she has. We just kind of know that her kids, she has 5 kids, and they probably give her a lot of shit, which is probably why she looks 48 when she's 37. I don't know. I'm just going to stop there and go on. And then at one point when she's saying goodbye to Sue Ellen, before the Twilight Zone starts, Sue Ellen is just there. She's 17, on the bench in the front yard, smoking a cigarette. Totally normal, just every mother lets their 17-year-old girl smoke in front of them. nothing wrong with it, right? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry, I have notes because there was too many thoughts when I was watching this movie. And then we have the Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone movie music starts. Then we find out that they're going to have a babysitter. And the kids are all like, what the fuck? I don't want a babysitter. And then you meet Mrs. Sturak. You're like, oh, it's just like this harmless little old lady. Like, and the mother's like, okay, you do understand there's 5 children. She's like, yes, I don't have family. I watch children. It's my life, or whatever the fuck. And then we find out that Mrs. Sturak is a crazy bitch. Mrs. Sturak, why are you a bitch? She's just so mean. She's just bossy the whole time. I couldn't really count to understand how many days had passed throughout this whole thing before the kids get fed up with Mrs. Sturak. I'm not sure. There's no clues to lead you to believe how many days or weeks it's been. So, you know, we all know the scene. She's making Melissa dress up in a little dress, and you know, the kids hate her. Then she goes into Kenny's room, which we know Kenny is like this mad pothead heavy metal guy. She goes in, she sees little Eddie from Iron Maiden. You know, tits and skeletons and death and pot leaves everywhere. So it's safe to say that just the imagery of that alone gave Mrs. Sturak a heart attack. Because if you're a bitch and you're real bitchy all day long, that has to be just stressful on your heart. And her probably just seeing Kenny's room fucking did her in. So anyways, they find her dead, and then, you know, you watch the movie, they try to dispose of her body, and it's like really weird. Like, no one calls the cops. They're just like, let's just drop her off at the morgue. This is where it's like the daycare for dead people, but it's a forever care. And now we gotta figure out what the fuck we're gonna do all summer. No red flags whatsoever. Like, we all know what to do when we come across a dead body. So just a couple things up until this point in watching the movie. I was watching this movie, and you know, they have scenes throughout the house. It's like, this house is a fucking mess. It is a tornado of just garbage and shit. And I was watching some other videos where they were interviewing Keith Coogan, who plays Kenny in the movie. And it's just like, literally, that kitchen stunk so bad. There were so many flies. It was disgusting. So literally, you know, set design did a really great job of trashing this kitchen to just make it a little more authentic than it probably should have been. So yeah, it's pretty bad. You see one scene, Walter's on the couch watching TV, and I never noticed this as a child, but now as an adult, I go back and I watch it. Even now, especially now that I have to clean the house for my kids because they mess up my house really bad, he's pretty much laying amongst garbage. If you look in the background behind him, there's, you know, empty food containers, newspapers, trash. It's kind of like a hoarder's house, but with trash. And I'm like, what the fuck? For reals? So that, I mean, that's just kind of leaves me like, I mean, I don't know how well the kids helped this mom clean the house. Obviously, like I was saying, if she looks wet behind the ears at 37, they must just be giving her all kinds of hell, and she just threw in the towel and was like, fuck it, fuck these kids, fuck this house. So you know, they have to get the job or whatever. They flip a coin, flip the pizza box, and Sulan has to get a job in order to sustain the family for the rest of the summer before their mom gets back, because obviously they have to eat. So she gets a job at Clown Dog. So Clown Dog is kind of like the quintessential place, typical, stereotypical place teenagers will work and hang out or whatever. It's absolutely disgusting. It's just like, why is it so gross? The only thing cool about Clown Dog, that from my opinion, is like, why couldn't I have bosses that were as cool as Mr. Egg that early on in my life? Like, Mr. Egg seemed like a really, really nice guy. He took pride in his work. You know, maybe Mr. Egg was living the American dream. I don't know. But he was a really, really happy guy. And there was this one thing I noticed when they're cleaning up in the kitchen. It has on the wall behind them, in quotations, respect the meat. Always respect the meat. Don't respect the buns, don't respect the condiments. It's all about the meat, which that just sounds strange to me. I don't know. That just sounds really, really weird to me. So anyways, her coworker, the guy who plays Brian, super hot. I had a crush on him when I was little when I first watched this, and I watch it now, and he's still fucking super hot. Even as like a grown man now, present day, he's just a really good looking guy. Yeah, he's pretty smoking hot, I think. So it's like, Sue Ellen hates her job, obviously. She's complaining to Brian in the thing before she quits and tells Mr. Egg she quits. And Brian genuinely seems like he's just kind of fed up. Again, we don't know, we have no clue as to how long she's been working at Clown Dog, how many days or weeks. But she really hates the job, and Brian seems to just be like, well, if you don't like the job, just quit. Like, I'm kind of tired of your bitching, Sue Ellen. Fucking quit. I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. Even though you are gorgeous. Shut the fuck up. That's pretty much how he sounded right before she quit. So, she quits, and then, you know, like, the montage goes with, like... by the way, this movie has an amazing soundtrack. I love every single song on the soundtrack of this movie. Oh, my God. I could go on... That's another video. This soundtrack is great. You need to get it. It's just wonderful. It's typical 90s, end of the 80s hair metal era, like great music is on the soundtrack. Another thing I wanted to point out, Kenny. Let's talk about Kenny for a second. I thought this was funny because in real life, when they played this movie, actually, the guy who played Kenny was a year older than Christina Applegate. She was 19 when they did this movie, and he was 20, but he's playing a 15-year-old. Kenny has a like the lip mouth tattoo. I guess it's like what the Rolling Stone mouth or whatever on his arm. And I have to say, again, it goes back to the mother. What is this mother? What kind of mother is this? First of all, she lets her son get an actually pretty good looking tattoo at 15 years old. I remember when I was 15, I knew people who had tattoos and they were absolute crap because either they got permission from their parents, but they didn't get the money from their parents, or they did it behind their parents' back from scratch, and they did it with scratchers, and their tattoos were absolutely horrendous. It looks like someone took a shit on their arm or something and then like smashed it, and then that was like their tattoo. Completely like, you couldn't tell what it was. Oh my God, I knew a guy who had a couple tattoos. They were really bad. But we didn't say anything back in the day. We're just like, hey dude, that's some really nice moons you got in a cross. The cross is a little fat around the edges though. We didn't say anything. So I thought that was really interesting. Again, it kind of goes back to the mother. Like maybe this mom was just like, I'm done with these kids. Whatever. Do whatever you want. Get your dick pierced. I don't care. All that montage of Sue Ellen looking for jobs, she finally goes to GAW to go to apply for the receptionist position. She goes upstairs where we later find out Caroline. Okay, why are you a bitch, Caroline? She has a boyfriend. She's obviously getting laid. Why is she so crabby? I don't know. So she's like, you have to go down to personnel like everyone else is supposed to. Don't come up here. So, you know, Sue Ellen already kind of get the vibe from her like, yeah, this chick is a crazy bitch. Maybe I shouldn't even apply to this job. I don't want to work with this bitch. But anyways, so in comes Joanna Crawford, who plays Rose, who, excuse me, by the way, even at her age, at this point in the movie, knockout. Joanna Crawford is a knockout. She came out in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Remember, she was Bob Hoskins' lady friend or whatever. Smoking hot lady. Gorgeous, gorgeous redhead lady. Anyways, I just had to say that because I'm jealous. Then, a little bit fast forward, let's talk about another character, Gus. Oh, Lord, what can't you say about Gus? He's a douchebag. He's an HR sexual harassment nightmare. Oh my God. If there's any lessons to be learned from this movie, it's how to deal with workplace sexual harassment. Because Gus looks like he wants to bang everything that moves. Obviously, Sue Ellen is very young. She's very beautiful. And he's just like, I'm to tap that. And he thinks he's so suave too, right? Like, he looks, and you know he can tell by his character that he can get any woman he wants. My God, he's fucking disgusting. Stop. Another thing about Gus. In the whole movie, it's like he always, to be sexy or something, he always has his mouth open. He's always like, I hear the lamb is very tender. Close your fucking mouth, Gus. It's going to be a fly trap pretty soon. Close your fucking mouth. I don't know, that actor's really good at playing like douchebags. I've seen a couple movies and shows that he was in back in the day, and he always plays the same like douchey character. I'm sure the man himself isn't a douchebag, but he plays them very well. So we already hate Gus because, well, he just can't fucking control himself. This movie has a lot of one-liners, and I absolutely love them. Just a few of the one-liners when they're doing the dishes and they're like pulling or throwing or however you call it with the shotgun in the dishes, and it's like, dishes are done, man. And, oh my god, like I say those things to this day. Or even like, I'm right on top of that, Rose. I love that. Oh my god. Or when Bruce goes in the thing and he comes back with Carol and he's like, who's the void in Rose's office? Like, who's the void? It's, you know, a really clever way of just saying, who's this fucking bimbo in this office? Who's the void in this office? We do see a small clip, and I trip out on this, of Chuck E. Cheese back in the early 90s. I don't know how old Chuck E. Cheese is or when it first was invented, but I just thought that was a trip. If you look at some point in the back when Sue Ellen is talking with Kenny about what they're going to do for money, you see Chuck E. Cheese in the costume in the background. Just pause it. Take a good look at that Chuck E. Cheese. He looks absolutely frightening. That would give kids nightmares. He looks like just like. Does anybody know what Popo Gijo is? Like any Latino people? Does anybody know who the fuck Popo Gijo is? If you know who Popo Gijo is, Chuck E. Cheese looks like a giant fucking scary version of Popo Gijo, but not cute. Yeah, that's what he looks like, and yeah, Google that. I don't know how to spell Popo Gijo. I just know it's Popo Gijo. I don't know. Anyways, so they go out. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to start working soon or whatever. She got the job at GAW. And then there's another thing that I love from my childhood. Legit, I love drag queens. Ever since I saw RuPaul in like 1990 or whenever Supermodel came out, I have been in love with RuPaul. So when I saw this when I was little, I was like, 3 drag queens are still in their car? How unnecessarily awesome is that just to add in the movie? They couldn't just get their car stolen. It had to get stolen by fucking working drag queen girls. Serving you thief realness. Grand Theft Auto realness. I loved it. What the fuck? My God. It's just so awesome. And then there's a scene where she's going on a date with Brian in the toy store. I always wanted that scene to happen in real life to me when I was little. You know, bouncing is a timeless pastime or whatever. Get on the ball, girl. Let's ride this. Let's go bounce throughout this store. I always wanted this to happen to me in real life, and it didn't. I don't know. No one took me on dates. No one liked me. I don't know. What the fuck? Sue Ellen is working, which we never really see Sue Ellen actually doing any work. Like, again, maybe I'm gonna say by the time her mom comes home from Australia, even though it's like a week early, I'm gonna assume she was maybe working there a month at the most already, because we don't know how many days, again, the babysitter was with the children before she died, and we don't know how long she was at Clown Dog, and we don't know how many days it was before she got hired at GAW. So I'm assuming, obviously it has to fit in within a month, a summer break, but yeah, we never really see Sue Ellen doing any work. We just assume that she is some fucking genius and she's somehow winging it without Google and shit to figure out what QED reports are and bi-weekly reports are in the fashion industry or whatever. So anyways, as time goes on, you see Kenny. It's really weird. Sue Ellen and Kenny, even though they're supposed to be siblings, they start taking on like this husband-wife role, even though it's not like incestuous or anything. It's just like really weird. Like, he starts being the stay-at-home dad and she becomes a working mom, and he starts really getting into cooking and making fucking Belgian waffles for the munchies. So we witnessed the birth of a new Kenny towards the middle of this movie, and we have Julia Childs to thank. Which again, it goes back to what I just said about they take on these weird roles. It's like, was Sue Ellen and Kenny playing the roles of the parent they wish their mom and dad would be? Obviously, their real mother is stressed, overworked, so like, fuck it with all these kids. They hate their dad or whatever. So I mean, like, Sue Ellen and Kenny, like, they're real supportive of their sister Melissa with her Little League, and you see a clip of that, and you know, little clues throughout the movie that she's going to Little League finally and doing what she wants with, and Kenny takes her, although we really don't know how the fuck they get there because they only have one car. The cooking with Kenny, he's cooking meals for his brothers and sisters, and you know, Sue Ellen gives her brother Zach love advice, which I thought was so cute, because back in the day when I was coming up, we would read like YM magazine, 17 teen magazine, and you would take the quizzes, right? Like, you would think these quizzes were, I just thought that was so hilarious. She was like, read this game plan and then take the quiz afterwards. Like, oh my God, that's so 90s, dude. Do people still do that? I really don't know what these young kids are doing these days. But anyways, so finally, after everyone steals her petty cash and the shit hits the fan, she's like, look, we gotta clean up this house, save my ass. And then finally, all the kids are like, all right, cool, we'll help clean up. We'll stop being little bratty shits. So they start doing that. A couple life hacks I saw in this movie that one should really consider. To encourage children to wash your windows, put Windex in your squirt guns, because apparently that looks like a lot of fun to clean your windows, and they get really good at it. 2, use checkerboards as hors d'oeuvre serving trays. It's cute. It works. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go to the thrift store right now. So fast forward again, after they clean the house and you see the whole montage, you really see how fucking disgusting their house was, because they end up bringing like their whole crew of friends. There's like 20 kids working on this house trying to clean it up. So who knows how many years of just dirt, grime, and just not giving a damn about this house that they have to clean up. So, to the fashion show. So I love the fashion show. Every single piece in the fashion show, I thought it was so cool. Obviously now I don't think it's very cool, but when I was little in 1991, I thought this was the shit. So anyways, they're having the fashion show. She's trying to save GAW. She's making history or whatever. I like, if you notice in the show, when Gus is in the front row, he's looking at all these outfits as she's talking about them. He has this look like, what the fuck? Like, the whole time. Just look at him. He's like, you know, with his fucking mouth open, always like this. Like, all the fucking time, dude. Like, close your mouth, Gus. My God. Anyways, so they get busted, right? Sue Ellen's mom, for whatever reason, we can only assume as adults, if you're watching this, that she finally decided to come home a week early because all the kids, she could never get Mrs. Sturak on the phone. So obviously it's suspicious, right? She's like, I better go home. She has her little speech about how she's very sorry. She's 17 years old. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And that you see at the point where she says she's 17 years old, you can literally see Gus's like man douche boner just go super limp, because he's been trying to hit up on an underage girl this whole entire time. So Mrs. Crandall kind of like, she gets mad at the kids, right? And then, you know, she starts, after everyone leaves, she starts looking around her house and she's like, damn, I forgot I had such a nice house. These kids did a really good job. These kids are better than me, or whatever. Like, she kind of calms down, right? Because obviously she was set, understandably. She came home and there's like a bunch of people on her property. She just looks at everything like, my God, you kids are more put together than I am. Wow, did I raise you? Like, it's just fucking crazy. So in the end, you know, Kenny becomes model citizen. He's going to go to class more. He's going to, you know, go to Culinary Arts Institute. So once again, like, food changes the outlook of like at-risk teens. Culinary arts, it saves everyone. You know, typical story. Food is powerful. We know this. Anyways, another thing about this movie that I love, besides the soundtrack, is the fashion. I love I love the outfits Sue Ellen and Rose wore throughout this movie. It was so cool. I loved in the beginning she wore like these really bright green Doc Martens. Oh my God, Doc Martens were like the shit. But oh my God, everybody wanted Doc Martens back in the day. I did. I was 6 years old. I was like, where can I get Doc Martens? I need them. I need them in my life. So the movie starts to end and whatever. The mother wonders, you know, for the last time in the movie, where's the babysitter? Oh, that's right. We had a babysitter that fucking died. Just some things that also always thought, because at the end, you know, you see the two more guys at the lady's grave or whatever. She's got like a headstone. Someone fucking paid for the headstone. Who knows what the fuck. So these guys are all happy because they got this old lady. No one alerted the cops. No one alerted nobody that this body was just dropped off, like fucking you drop off clothes at Goodwill, and they're like, oh, I miss her. She left us so much money. Which I always want to know, how much money did Mrs. Crandall leave the babysitter for those 2 whole months that she was supposed to be gone? We never know. Was it $5,000? Was it $10,000? Was it $1,500? I don't know. I mean, I don't even remember how much shit cost back in 1991. I was like 5 or 6 years old. I don't know. But anyways, there are some life lessons to learn from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Don't be in a hurry to grow up, one. Because at first, Sue Ellen is like, well, yeah, I'll get a job. It'll be great. Oh, I love working. Oh, I love making money. And then soon when she gets her career job, she realizes that she's sacrificing a lot of shit. Probably realizing that her mom sacrifices a lot of stuff. And maybe she feels sympathy towards her mother because, you know, there's that one scene where she's looking out on the side while she's driving to work, and there's like all these kids in bikinis going to the beach, enjoying their youth, enjoying their summer, and she can't do that. So for one, don't be in a hurry to grow up because being an adult sucks, paying bills sucks, it's not fun most of the time. And also number 2, how to deal with workplace harassment. We know that Sue Ellen in the end finally tells Rose, and Gus is busted. She wets his pants with the squirt gun, we're assuming has Windex in it because it's the same gun. Hey, it's the same gun that Melissa was using to wash the windows. But anyways, so yeah, that's my take on that movie. I really like it. If you like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, I hope or recommend that you also watch, sorry, my kid's in the background, Adventures in Babysitting, which also has the same actor, Keith Coogan, who was Kenny. He's in that one. So yeah, those movies make a great date night or whatever. I love it. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. If not, I'm sorry. How could you not like this video? You stayed for the whole damn thing. All right, enough talking. All right, cool.